Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because it is confirmed to be a smaller set, which is very odd, and I'm really not excited about that. So today we have confirmation that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a smaller set. I'm going to discuss the evidence, plus talk a little bit about my thoughts on if it is the next Spider-Man, because I know as soon as I say it's a smaller set, someone's going to say this is the next Spider-Man set. And I'm really hoping it's not, but we'll talk about that as well because I think there's the perfect storm of issues to do with Spider-Man. And honestly, I am pretty excited for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set, which is probably I know that I love Universes Beyond, and I know you guys don't. Keep it civil down below and stuff like that. And I know there's going to be people who are like, I'm out of Marvel, I'm out of Magic, I'm done with this. Fuck Universes Beyond. Feel free to express that, but just keep in mind some people do look forward to it and stuff, so don't get too toxic. So before we do get into that, if you guys want to head on over to support the Ko-fi and stuff like that, that would be amazing. This supports everything we do. I was at PAX over the weekend and I was still up at 3 a.m. making you guys videos and everything like that. So huge thank you to everyone who supported the channel to help us, fund to be able to go to that. The next big goal is to go to Command Fest at the end of the year, and I'm really looking forward to that. So any support really helps that. And while I'm talking about PAX, I got to meet Gavin, who's one of my absolute idols. I love him. He's just does such amazing work. And I also got him to sign my black market connections, which is really great. Wrote half send on it. I said, just write half send on it because sometimes a full send is not a good idea with a black market connection. So, and that's one of his, cards that he's designed and everything. So I was just really happy with that. And it was absolutely amazing. PAX was just absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for everyone helping me be able to go to that. So let's go through the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff and why it is a smaller set. Well, more the evidence behind it being a smaller set, not why it is, because I don't know why it is. I was hoping it wasn't. So what is the evidence? So given the cards that have been shown, we can get the collector numbers from them and then we can match them up with other sets. This gives us a good indication of how big a set is going to be because typically all the collection numbers are going to be in the same order each time. It goes monocolored cards, then it goes multicolored cards, then it goes your lands and then your other arts and stuff like that, your extended arts and all that kind of stuff. So we can take, the cards from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to match them up against the Edge of Eternity's ones and match them up against the Spider-Man ones, and then you'll be able to see, in fact, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is looking to be a smaller set than Spider-Man. Not by much, but still a smaller set than Spider-Man. So let's start off with these guys here. So for Alfarel, I don't know how to pronounce that. He was the first multicolored card from within the Edge of Eternity set, and he was collector number 212. Then we've got Arana over here on the side. She was the first one for the Spider-Man set, and she was collector number 123. And then finally, Bebop and Rocksteady over here are collector number 140. That is roughly 70 less than the set, the Spider-Man, not Spider-Man, than the Edge of Eternity set, right? So that means there's 70 less monocolored. Now, that's not taking into account, if what other ones there are before this or anything like that. There could easily be some starting with the letter A or something, like, for example, April. So we don't know entirely if there's going to be some prior to Bebop and Rocksteady in regards to collector number. I would say maybe 5 maximum, which brings us down to 135 for collector number for the start of it, which is roughly still it's roughly 70-80, right? So 70-80 less cards than a normal set. This is 17 more than the Spider-Man set currently. So currently that's 17 more than the Spider-Man set. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that there is more cards within the set, right? Because of the fact that there could just be more monocolored cards. We've seen actually a whole bunch of monocolored cards. We know that the legendary Turtles, for example, are monocolored cards. We've seen a legendary Leonardo who already is, monocolored. So we know that there is going to be some monocolored, legendaries, mythics from the monocolored Turtle set. So having a look at it, we're at least a fair chunk down from Edge of Eternities already. Right? We're still a bit above Spider-Man here. But the next one here, this one here is the extended arts, right? So I've looked roughly at around the same letter here. So, you know, we've got T, we got S, we got R, roughly around the same letter in regards to the alphabet. So there is another 80 here still, right, between these. So this is the extended art ones. First of all, I absolutely love this extended art. Like, I love this Turtles Forever art. And I think this is exactly what I would have loved to see from Spider-Man, where they actually lent more into the multiverse, but not just the multiverse of different things that Marvel has brought out, right? Like, bring in a 90s version of Venom standing next to, like, you know, a 2020s version of Venom and stuff. That is just really cool, and I really love that. And I think that I absolutely love that they've kind of adapted it in here with Turtles Forever. The actual, like, flavor so far from the cards that we've seen from Turtles as well is really great, but I'll get into that in a minute. So comparing the actual numbers here, this is roughly 80 less. Sorry, 60 less. 60 less here, 60 less here as well. They're still, like, you know, not great. It's still roughly around the same numbers as the Spider-Man set. And again, you know, we've got potentially more monocolored ones, so that's kind of pumping it up a little bit here as opposed to the multicolored ones, but we'll have to see how that ends up kind of shaking out. But either way, you know, it's still, as you can see, a fair chunk down from Edge of Eternities. But the real damning evidence here is this one here. So we are looking at the basic planes, right? These are the basic planes that will come, not the full art ones or anything, just the normal basic planes in a set. So if we have a look at Edge of Eternities, the Edge of Eternities basic land was number 267. I'm now just double checking that because I just want to make sure that I'm 100% right, because it's going to sound like there's a huge gap here, and that's because there is. Sorry. Yes, 267. The extended art was 262. So, yeah, 267. That's, yeah, not great. Because we then will compare it to the Spider-Man one, which is 194, which is roughly, you know, 70 different. And that is around the same as the, yeah, it's 191. 191, 190, right? 190 cards. Because what it does, it goes the monocolored legendaries, the monocolored cards, the multicolored cards, and then into your non-basic lands, and then into your basic lands. So that means that, again, you know, this is sitting here like around the same numbers as Spider-Man now. In fact, actually less, because there's, you know, now that less could be in the lands, it could be in something else, who knows? We don't know entirely where the less is coming from, but it's definitely less. It's definitely a smaller set, right? The evidence is just straight here in your face that there is roughly, you know, 70 less cards than a normal set. It's around the same as that Spider-Man set, which is not great. Now, the evidence for this is, if you look at here, this 1 to 190, these are the cards from the normal cards minus the basic planes, because this gap here in the collector boosters is always for the basic lands, because the basic lands don't come in the collector boosters. So, you know, it's roughly 3 less cards than Spider-Man. That's, yeah. Now, I guess the big thing is this the next Spider-Man, right? Now, while they're both smaller sets, that doesn't necessarily mean that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is going to be the same as Spider-Man, because there is lots of factors that went into play into Spider-Man's lack of love from veteran players, and reasons why it may potentially fail. I'm not going to say it is going to fail. I'm not going to say, you know, it's going to be awful or anything like that, because, you know, the people who are watching this video aren't necessarily the people who are buying Spider-Man. That doesn't mean that people aren't buying Spider-Man, right? Like, my 7-year-old absolutely loves Spider-Man and loves the Spider-Man cards and everything like that. He's not obviously, you know, watching my videos or anything. So, you know, it's going to be a whole different audience that's going to be purchasing these kind of things. So, you know, things that went into Spider-Man's failure, potential failure, not being on online/arena, being foundations level strength as well. So then veterans weren't even tempted to like go and purchase it because there's not much interesting stuff there. But so far, in my opinion, if you look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, it's interesting and, you know, pretty decent, right? Like I enjoy it and I think it looks pretty cool. You know, there's also the Marvel/superhero fatigue, and then also just being a set that started smaller and then was expanded on later. Now we don't know if that's what happened to Ninja Turtles. Like we don't know if TMNT started smaller or, you know, started out like, you know, not a super small set like Spider-Man did. Spider-Man started as a super small set and then was expanded on. We don't know if that was the same with Ninja Turtles, so we have to see like the full set to be able to kind of get more information about it and stuff like that. So I'm not, you know, doomsdaying because I do think that, you know, so far the cards look interesting. So far I'm still excited about the set. I think it could be potentially really cool. I have to see more about it. But, you know, I was also someone who was pretty confident and was looking forward to Spider-Man. So take what I say with a grain of salt. But I'd love to hear from you guys as to what you think. The other thing is that with the Ninja Turtle set, they are going to have Surge foils as well, right? And people love Surge foils, and typically, you know, Spider-Man didn't have Surge foils. It had like the texture foils for some stuff, but didn't have the Surge foils. And Surge foils typically, in my opinion, are absolutely stunning. And I don't think that they would waste Surge foils on a set that started out as a micro set and then got expanded later. Instead, it's just a smaller set. So let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and goodbye.